Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Madmen with a Box live. I'm your host, Pixel. Joining me tonight is Joe of the Corallos.
Hello.
Landry walking on Quinks. And then Gevain of Animated Concepts.
Hey, everyone.
You know, it's been almost 2 weeks at this point, because we were already almost a week late since the finale of season 2. So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and spend this week to talk about it, because we have no news. There's no confirmation of more Doctor Who coming.
Yeah.
So we really have nothing. All we have is the war between the land and the sea. We could have talked about that a little bit. Anybody seen the trailer for that? It looks okay.
I haven't yet, but it looks okay. Great. That's what we need right now.
Yeah, okay is a pretty big step up right now.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. And in that same vein, hello, not Matt Fish in the comments. We're going to go ahead and spend today to talk about season 2. I have created. This isn't a creation of mine. This is something that's already existed, but I've created a new bit to judge this past season, and we will all go ahead and give basically a thumbs up, thumbs down, and talk about each episode just for a little bit. I call it hit or shit. It's going to be great.
Okay.
So let's think back to the beginning of the season, not focusing on the season as a whole.
Yep.
Just back at the beginning with Robot Revolution. We got to meet Belinda. We got awesome 60s robots. And it's really just a question. Joe, what do you think? Robot Revolution. Was it a good episode or was it bad?
Overall bad. There's some good things in it, but overall bad.
Okay. No, don't want to expound upon that just a little bit more?
It's just everything I said the first, like a lot of the lore around it is cute and interesting. The style of the robots, the formation of the planet or the star or whatever, all that's nice, but the negatives just so outweigh the positives. The stupid vacuum robot thingy, the incel crap, I hated it. So yeah, it's bad.
All right. Landry, you're next on the list.
I'm gonna be contrarian to my friend there and say hit for this one, mostly because of the little vacuum robot, which I liked. It tells a very good bit. Okay, this is not an episode without flaws. This is it's standing on the edge of a knife's blade for me. And the things I liked quite a bit. I liked the design work in this. I thought was wonderfully done. Yep. The special effects were solid, much better than what we got later in the episode. It's a weird thing how the special effects budget seemed really high in the first couple episodes and then just died. But this one is visually really good. It stumbles the story, and Joe's not wrong. The incel part is very weak. The way the Doctor and Belinda laugh about the way the guy ends his life is horrific, and not the Doctor, and that alone almost put this one on the shit list for me. But there's still for me a lot to enjoy. It would be in almost any other season of Doctor Who a low point, but for this season, it's a high point. So
Yeah.
part of that might be the context. I'm giving it a hit. Understand that I'm not working with a lot here.
Okay. I can live with that. Gevain, the Robot Revolution, start of the season, the first time you gave an asterisk.
Yeah, okay, only because I know what I'm going to do for the next episode. I am going to give this one a shit. And I liked Belinda. I really enjoyed the introduction to Belinda, but this was the one where the incel thing was that killed it for me, especially the way in episode. I do not like on the nose commentary in the middle of a story. It's like, let me figure out the theme on my own. Let me figure out what your point of view is on my own. Leave it to interpretation. But this one, that was the moment that killed this episode for me. It had a lot of promise in the beginning. I liked the doctor being clever in terms of the speaking. I think it was like every seventh word or something like that. I thought that was a great bit. It looked good, but there was a lot of stumbling. There was a lot of stumbling in it. And but yeah, because of the asterisk phenomenon, I'm going to start off with this one as a shit.
Yeah.
We reached our first problem. I didn't think about this because I'm giving it a hit. So
Yeah. Well,
because I
oh,
think
I guess we got to ask a viewer for a tiebreaker.
absolutely. Well, we do have Matt going ahead, and he's saying that it's shit. But you go ahead
Right.
and
Holds
say
all the
that.
power.
You say you felt like
Yeah.
Robots one was like Husbands of River Song. I love Husbands of River Song. But yeah,
You
that
could
goes
also just put it in the middle or just call it
Or-
a tie. It's okay.
Yeah,
You're
it's
making the
fine. It can be
rules.
in the tie.
I am. Let me see. Did that do it? Hit or it's or.
I think we can all agree that this episode is or.
All right, top of the order. You know, let's. I guess it's better than Space Babies. That is very true. So
Yeah, it is better than Space Babies.
okay.
Yep.
Yes, it
So,
is.
a cartoon comes
Yeah.
to life. How does it make you feel?
I mean, this story, like this was one of the only ones I think I gave a more positive than negative review over, and I hold to that. This is definitely a hit for me. Why is shit on top now and hit at the bottom?
I can move it around.
Okay.
Just keeping it real.
It's shit or hit now.
Like Lux is, I think, probably the best episode of this season. So definitely a hit. Again, like this would be maybe a mid or upper mid episode most seasons, not like the highlight of a whole season, which is absurd. But yeah, it's fun. It has those extra gimmicks to it. I like that's a little bit of a period piece. So yeah, it's a hit for me.
Okay, Landry.
Hold on. Okay. My feelings about this one are complicated because I'm pretty sure I gave this a pretty negative review at the time.
I think so. Yeah.
It's just that, yeah, I think I may have given an extremely negative review at the time. But the reality is that so much that has come has been so much worse that I've looked back upon this with nostalgic fondness for the good old times when I thought that this was as bad as it might get. No, I mean, and this was better than several of the episodes of the previous season, in fairness. And I was a little hyperbolic with my rating last time, but now that things are a little more serious, now that things are a little more grim, I'm going to be a little more fair. And I'm going to put this on the hit list.
Okay.
Again, context is everything, and contextually, I think this is about as good as I can hope for. It has problems. It has really good visuals. Has a lot of recycled storylines I've seen elsewhere in comics. In comics, like, let's overpower him with his own power seems to be like that's a real old horse. But it's fine, and the performances are fine. It just lagged so badly in the middle with the fan scenes and all that. It's right there. It's the razor's edge. I'm giving it a hit, but I don't feel good about it.
No, I'm glad you reminded me about the fan bit in that episode, because that did suck.
That was a rough bit.
Yeah, it was.
Gevain.
Oh yeah, no, this was a hit for me. I like the visuals of it. I like seeing more of the Doctor being clever, like the fact that he sussed out that the cop and the mother were off. I think it was something where, kind of to Landry's point, even though he didn't like it the first time around, it seemed like at least we were trending in the right direction, if that makes sense. But it was still a lot of stumbles. It just felt like, like with a lot of these, like story-wise, everything still felt a little contrived and in a lot of ways rushed. But it was definitely enjoyable. Yeah, the fan bit, and I'll comment on the fan bit a little bit, because like the fan bit is kind of like, why? Well, how does the fan bit push the story forward? How does this pay off later in the episode? When you introduce a dynamic like that they know now that they're characters in a TV show to a bunch of people, or vice versa, or whatever the hell it was, what does that have to do with the rest of this? And it's like, it kind of always that stuff like this reminds me of like a critique I have of the movie, what was that? The Chronicles of Riddick, I think it was the second one, which was like, you're telling Jason and the Argonauts, and then you put a Prison Break story in the middle of it. Why? How does this move the overall story forward? It's just really an insert. So that said, I still thought this was a hit when I first saw it. Really enjoyed the concept. And yes, the ending is trite, overplayed. You can handle power, handle this, and blah blah blah. We've seen it before, but yeah.
I don't even need to vote because we have 3 hits, but I agree. I think that this is a hit. I don't mind the fan bit. Like, when I first watched it, I really did have a problem with it. But then I watched it 3-4 more times. And it kind of desensitizes you. The only part that's really unbelievable is that they all said blink.
Yeah. That's very unbelievable.
Normie answer. That's a normie answer. They should have all said sent, and then we would.
That's my normie answer. What are you saying? That's exactly my normie answer.
Honestly, what would have been really fucking funny is if they all said midnight.
Which brings us into our next episode, the surprise sequel to Midnight. Joe, what do you think of The Well?
I mean, overall, I have to say this is a hit because I don't know if I say anything after this is. Maybe one other episode after this I could get away with calling a hit. But oh God, it really falls off after this episode. Oh my God, what a disaster. But so in part for that reason, I think the story's fine, but and I do have a lot of problems with it that I've mentioned before, but I mean, a lot of the problems, and this problem comes up consistently through this season and is a big part of the finale, is the Doctor just standing there while people get brutally murdered around him, and he's just kind of I don't know what to do. And it's weird, right? He just watches all these people murder each other. It's like, what are you doing? Which I
Yeah.
guess is a callback later when he just watches the Ranny die slowly for seemingly no reason. Like, oh my god, I fucking hate that. But yes, if I don't give this a hit, I really am struggling with what else is. So I have to say this is a hit.
I'm sorry you have a gun to your head right now, Joe.
That's right. Blink twice, Joe. Blink twice.
Little Timmy fell down the well. What do you think about it?
I mean, yeah, that kind of is it. It's still, we're in that place, that like desperate, clawing, hungry place to go. Yeah, I mean, there's something here. There's something here. You're reminding me of a Good Time episode. Yeah, that helps a little. I don't connect with the characters. It's got the toxic masculinity theme again. It's the big kind of blink, or what have you got on your back? All that kind of, that little bit of a moment with the don't look in the mirror, whatever the hell it was fine. It was just fine. And then the ending where it didn't matter and they lost anyway and it got out anyway. It's just so depressing. I guess that's it. Like, where I could forgive the Lux for a flawed but fundamentally Whovian sort of story, this is a flawed, not very Whovian story. They lose and they don't even know it. The doctor doesn't check his homework, goes and they lost. All of it was for nothing. Everyone will suffer. I don't know. It's just a good emphasis for the rest of the season, I guess. I'm giving this it's in the shit category, because even though it's not fundamentally worse and possibly even better in some ways than the previous two episodes, in the end, it's not Doctor Who. And that is the biggest problem with this one. It's just the first sign of a trend to come. This isn't Doctor Who anymore. I don't know what it is, but this is not Doctor Who. So it's a shit for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gevain?
Yeah, this one's gonna be or for me. Much along the lines of what both. It's just right there. I see Robot Revolution sit right in the or category. Or category.
It's if we tie.
No, this is an or, because this really was this was the episode. I remember this being the episode where I truly felt that it's like this season's either going somewhere or it isn't. And to Landry's point, that especially with it being a sequel to Midnight, where it's like, at least in Midnight, when one of the supporting characters sacrificed herself to make sure this entity was done with, at least there was a sense that the sacrifice wasn't in vain, and that it was very tragic, and it impacted everyone in a real way. With this one, when the sacrifice is made, to Landry's point, the sacrifice is almost immediately invalidated. It's like he says, they lost. They don't even know they lost. The person who sacrificed themselves did it for nothing. And again, it was kind of like, much like with sort of like Lux, and I would say throughout the rest of the season, where is this going and to what end? Like, is this really building to something? Are all these things happening for some greater purpose? And because ultimately we know they don't, that's why I have to stick this on or, because I think this was the one where it's just like, okay, these guys are really going to start this is trending upwards and they're turning us around, or they or no, what I'm fearing is about to happen. So for me, it's an or.
That puts a lot of pressure on me, Gevain, and I don't appreciate
No,
that.
it does.
You can literally pick any one of them, and that's where it goes. You're the decider.
Yeah, I know. This is the one that I fought with the most, because I felt like a crazy person the first time I watched it. Because I was, this is garbage. This was not this was something that should have stayed down the well. I remember tweeting that.
Yeah.
But then I watched it again and I had a kinder expression. Watched it with watching Midnight as well, and I can see the connections. Not Matt Fish says it allows us to have a Midnight Part 3, but we don't need that, and that's really the problem. I'm going to have to agree with Landry. I'm going to put it in the shit.
Okay, there you go.
I thought I was going to hit. I did, but this conversation has led us down the well.
No, you're right. Oh, we're torching this whole season, huh?
Yeah. It's not our lucky day. Speaking about lucky day, Joe.
Well, first, after all of this with the well, I just, now looking back, I'm like, the Mrs. Flood cameo is even stupider here.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Pointless.
Yeah. Where she's walking in, picking up my medicine. Linda.
What was the point of that? Like, oh my god, it makes it stupider. You know what? I'm glad it's in the shit category now. Fuck this episode. You turned me around on it. I'm glad. But yeah. No, I'm glad it's in the shit category. Fuck this episode. So yeah, Lucky Day. Fucking terrible. What a god awful fucking experience to live through. Definitely shit. I can never forgive the episode for making Unit seem comically inept intentionally for no real reason by having them not figure out that those aliens were people in just costumes, like normal civilians. Like, what an insult. What a waste of our time. What a stupid fucking thing to do. Like, that alone. Forget everything else in that episode. Forget the fact that she dated, Conrad for like a month or so and didn't Google him once. Forget the fact that she was out with basically someone who is like as well known as a Joe Rogan or an Alex Jones and didn't know it. Family didn't know it. No one she mentioned to knew it. Like, what a so poorly thought out episode. And also to feature not the companion this season or the doctor, really. Like, I don't know. What a mess. Stupid. I hate it. It's shit. Put it there.
Unit can put a chip in people's necks, but they can't figure out rubber masks. It's their one weakness. Landry.
I mean, it's not good. It's not good. This is an episode that's confusing for different reasons than the rest. There is a very Whovian, at least modern Whovian quality to it. There's a lot of, this is a very Russell T Davies kind of episode.
Yeah.
It's just put together poorly. It's like the puzzle pieces are all there, but somebody mashed them together in the wrong sequence. And maybe they are missing some pieces and they just hand colored them in. And it's like they tried, and they did not stick the landing. It is not a good puzzle picture. It just, I appreciate some of the individual components, and I probably liked not Rose, whatever her name is.
Ruby.
I never even Ruby, yeah. And not Rose was at her best this episode.
Damn.
I liked her more than any other time. But I think that just honestly, some of the comments I've already heard here about this one, it's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. We kind of sway each other. I might have been a little more generous to this one for going, yeah, that was pretty incompetent of Unit. But then Unit is deeply incompetent in this entire season. This might be the most competent Unit is this season, which is just bad. It's going in the shit category. It's not that there isn't some value to it. It's not that there isn't some scenes that are worth seeing. but they, as a whole, do not make a pretty picture. It's not there for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gevain.
Yeah, this story would have worked better if Unit wasn't in it. And I think that's the big problem with it. It's one thing to have Ruby out there on her own, kind of like drifting, not having focus, not knowing what to do with herself after traveling with the doctor, and then being vulnerable to someone like Conrad. But making Unit, in a sense, the MacGuffin of the episode makes it forced, and it makes everybody involved because Unit is the MacGuffin, what Conrad is after. It forces you to make everybody else in the episode stupid in order for him to get that far. And that's the fundamental flaw of this story. And the other part is this is where the trend goes down, because I probably would have ranked this higher as an or if this was the beginning of either Doctor Who's version of the Council of Doom for all you Space Ghost fans out there, or Doctor Who Revenge Squad for you Superman fans. But since that did not happen, shit.
Yeah. Not only that, because
Good analogies.
Because Joe, you brought up the fact that she didn't Google. Her family Googled him and somehow just didn't look deep enough. Saw enough that saw his Instagram photo, like that's good, but didn't look just a little bit deeper to find out, hey, he's a scumbag. Yeah, no, this is shit. It does have so many like good little scenes, but that does not make up for how bad.
If they left everybody else out of it except for Ruby, it would have worked.
Yeah, the story just falls apart. Speaking about the story, let's talk about the engine. The story of the engine, Joe.
Yeah.
That's for next.
No, I had a lot of problems with this the first time around. They're still bad. This episode looks worse now because like it doesn't tie into anything. It didn't end up having it playing into the overall season story arc at all. When we have 8 episodes.
Yep.
Like at least Lucky Day, whether we like how that went or not, Conrad ties into the finale. So like that story still needed to happen. You could have completely pulled this story and the season works just fine without it. We don't get enough Belinda, and we already had a Belinda Light episode before this. Why were there 2 Belinda Light episodes, and why were they back to back in an 8-episode season? And she's, in a box for so much of the finale. So like,
hello,
bizarre, a bizarre choice of an episode. If Belinda was in it and actually doing things, and we get like, this could have been the kind of episode that you change slightly and you learn more about Belinda and it's more Belinda focused. I think that would have really helped. I think the season desperately needed that, and this was the slot to do it. And you have this feeling that you're dealing with this bigger, grandiose villain, but all this episode does is make it ties nothing into the overall arc while making this season that only has 8 episodes have 2 big, stupid CGI monsters.
Not even a monster, because it's a machine that somehow is able to climb onto its own back and hop out. It's very weird. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Odd, weird. Landry, what do you think about the story and the engine? You actually weren't here when we reviewed it, so.
Was I? Did I miss that one?
You missed that one.
I know. I thought it was there for that one. It is garbage. It's bad. It's I mean, it's shit. There's not much more to say about that one. It's really, really, really bad. I missed most. My phone was that I'm using right now to dial into your folks' little show here is not working right, and I missed Joe's obviously glowing review, and I know Joe loved this one. And so I feel bad trashing his favorite episode. But you know, I just have to be. I have to speak my truth, and it's like, there's a premise that could be really cool. I couldn't care less about the episode. I didn't understand the character mode, like the characterizations. The doctor, again, this is not the doctor. Like his rage at this person who is trapped in a barbershop that's supposed to be his friend. Like, how dare you tell stories about me? Yeah, I'm being put in this storytelling machine that kind of forces me to tell stories, and I'm trapped in a barbershop. But you know, it's cool, man. You're just this all-powerful being. I hoped would help me, but I guess we're not that kind of friends.
Well, I've got to defend that, because the thing is, in that scene, it's not the fact that he told about the doctor. That wasn't the problem. The problem was he was trying to make the guy, the barber, take the doctor and free the rest of them. He was trying to sacrifice the doctor for the rest of them.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what the doctor would want somebody to do, especially a friend. Like, yes, I can handle it. Call me in. I'll save you. I'll take your place. The doctor would choose to do that. Now, I get maybe the doctor didn't make that choice, but what is this guy going to do against these godlike beings and their magical barber shops that makes them tell stories? What is he going to do? He knows the doctor can handle it. He knows the doctor is the guy for this. Like, I'd call the doctor. I mean, when I have like, I've got a friend, he works for Social Security, and when I have Social Security or if another mutual friend has a Social Security request, I connect him to my friend who works for Social Security, saying he's a guy who can help. I can't answer that for you, but I know a guy who could answer for you. He knows how. Call in the guy that saves the world. Yeah, okay. And you're going to be mad at him for calling you in? No, I don't. It's shit. The whole thing is shit. It's not worth it.
You're cutting out there towards the end, but we did get the majority of your message.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I'm with Joe.
Gevain.
Yeah, to Landry's point, and also to reiterate this one last one, this is what happens when you force something. First of all, to Joe's point, this is a palate cleanser in a season that could not afford to have a palate cleanser episode. You could not afford to have an episode that is basically just filler. And that's what this is. This is a filler episode. On top of that, you have an author or creator or writer to write for the show who's clearly picked for reasons outside of the show that they wanted him to bring a certain point of view to it, but it didn't make sense for the character, and it just basically created a missed opportunity. If you really wanted to deal with the doctor dealing with his identity as a black man, there was a way to do this throughout the season that would have made this episode much more effective if we had seen anything like this in the 12 episodes that preceded it. But since you didn't bother to do that, it just comes off as like, what? Huh? Really? Now, you know, the barbershop thing doesn't mean as much to him because it's like, quite frankly, dude, you spent like thousands of years, hundreds of years, not as a black man. So it's like, it's that, you know, it's like that bad. And you're not spending like even like 100 of those years having to live as a black man like that. You spent 1 year living as a black man and you barely reference that at all when it comes to the rest of these episodes. And then I guess the other part of it is, and this is to Landry's point, and I agree, is that the only reason why that betrayal becomes such a big deal is because you're playing into the identity bit to such a degree that if he was like one of the white doctors, yeah, they might have been a little upset in the beginning, you know, but they would have understood. they would have understood. It's like these guys are like in a precarious situation here. This, it's not like they're just doing it for kicks or they got nothing else better to do. I mean, my man didn't even get 30 pieces of silver. It's like that's not what this was. And so I think what it is that this was something where the writer, and I think that the showrunner, RTD, and whoever else was running this, they did a disservice to the writer by not making the writer hew to the demands of the season, which was very constraining with the 8 episodes, and it didn't speak true to the character of the Doctor, simply because nothing that preceded it seeded anything that that would make this more palatable or make this more relatable. Than just basically now he just he knows all the secret handshakes, he knows where all the secret barbershops are at for black folks, and this is that. I would say that this episode actually makes Rosa a contender now, but that's just me.
Wow.
It redeems it.
I do have comments that I want to go ahead and give with this story. Sean thinks that it's a hit. That's I don't know what he's saying, which is a plus for the season. Maybe that it's a palate cleanser. And not Matt Fish says, or. Talking about this one, Jimmy, who's lurking in the comments, says that
Jimmy,
but thinks that The Well is A tier hit for sure, but it's already gone down the shitter. Lux is a okay. Anyway, what was I going to say? The story in the engine. I was very excited when we got the teaser because I saw a giant spider, and not only that. I was going ahead and giving the benefit of the doubt because we did have Lux, which was a better version of the Devil's Cord, which I like Devil's Cord too. But going ahead and you have another story with gods, and it has nothing to do with any of that. Nothing to do with the Pantheon, nothing to do with anything. It's just, these gods exist. I told the stories for the gods. You don't even have a name. You are the barber, and then you take the barbershop owner's father's name, and I get what you're going for, but it doesn't do anything. It's garbage. This story is the story, the engine, and the trash can. It's going in shit.
Yeah. And real quick, the problem with that episode really is there's too much cultural shorthand in that. So as a I'll say this if I have to go that identity right. As a black creator, I get what the writer was trying to do. It's just done in such a shorthand fashion. It assumes that everyone knows what you're getting at. And it's not clear. And it just doesn't work. Yeah. It's shit.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I have to ask, you're saying Lux is a miss because it's very stereotypical because of the
I think
because of the okay. I'm talking about this. It was 1 minute after, so I was like, well, going ahead and we talked about one episode not written by RTD already. Let's get into the next one, which is the Interstellar Song Contest. Sing it for us, Joe. How do you feel?
Yeah. No, it's rough. Again, this is one of those that there's a lot I want to like about this, but especially towards the end, it really falls apart. You know what? I'll give it an or.
You're giving it an or?
Because I mean, the next two are there's no way I'm not giving them shit. So
okay,
I feel like I have to, at least relative to this episode. I like seeing the Doctor in space rocketing around with a confetti cannon thing. Like that kind of stuff was fun. The couple
sit up and say camp.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll stick with it. Or it's the best I'm gonna do for the rest of the season.
Landry, the Interstellar Song Contest.
Oh, shit.
Yep, I'm not surprised.
I
you said
mean,
that.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I mean, okay, the doctor tortures a guy who, okay, yeah,
Yep.
he was the bad guy. He was doing bad guy things, but they did a really good job of one thing, giving us an empathetic background for the terrorist. Now, as soon as you do that, you have to be real careful. I don't like there's some fiction is best left, well, the villains are best left superficial. I have this problem when I see, and I'm going to go to a controversial take here live on the air, so bear with me. When I see, say, a lot of diversity in the Imperial forces in Star Wars, like, and people say, "Oh, but representation matters." I'm like, "Yes, representation matters. Put them." I want the rebels to be amazingly diverse. I want the Imperials to be space Nazis. I can't relate to a planet being blown up, but I don't want to see that Palpatine has better hiring practices than Walmart. Because I want when Luke drops the torpedoes in, I want to say, yeah, that's what you get, you racist son of, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So relatable evil. And one of the problems with this episode is the villain, as monstrous of an action as he has been pushed to take, he was pushed. And his people were driven to self-mutilation. They were treated as garbage. Like the loathing and revulsion on the face when that guy who discovers that the woman he's been working with for how long is one of them. Like, no, this is who's the bad guy here. The doctor doesn't right any real wrong here. He stops. I mean, yeah, there's the singing and everyone opens up their hearts and it reaches trillions of people. The power of song. But the doctor tortured this guy. Like, I'm not there for that. Again, this is I mentioned this earlier in my reviews. This isn't the doctor anymore. I don't know who this is. He lacks the gravitas. He lacks the empathy. He lacks the humility. He's all style and no substance, this version of the Doctor. I do not know who he is. And this is indicative of it. It's like they wanted to give us the Eccleston rage moment against the Daleks, but that was the rage of someone who had lost everything against an enemy that he had to learn through Rose to remember to have pity for. He was wrong, and we see that reflected in Rose's eyes, and the Doctor, on some level, sees it at the very end of that Dalek episode in season 1. And even though the Doctor doesn't really let go of anything with that, there's understanding there. There was consequences there. In this one, there's nothing. There's nothing. It's empty. It's hollow. Yeah, the glitter gun thing was fun for about 2 seconds. And there's something else I'm missing from this Doctor. Where are his amazing feats? Where are the moments where you sit there and go, are you kidding me? That's insane. The Doctor just did this thing that is absolutely insane. And it worked. So, yeah, that's great for a brief moment. I really like the Ronnie in this episode in general. I don't like Bi-Generation, but they made it work better this time. Mrs. Flood, her little bits of dialogue is when she comes out at the end as the Ronnie. That's the Ronnie I enjoy for the rest of this season. I don't like the new Ronnie very much, but at least I got a little bit there. So it's definitely a shit. I'm just trying to focus on the positives, but I can't give it a rating higher than that. It's still very bad.
Yeah. Gevain?
I'm a little torn because I knew Landry was going to go with shit on this one because of the Doctor's characterization. And I agree with him because it's something where you did have an empathetic villain. You did have somebody where you could see where someone would be driven to that level of murder based on the protracted mistreatment, self-mutilation, murder, exploitation of his people over an extended period of time. And what also equally makes the doctor's reaction to it kind of like, bruh, what are you doing? Is the fact that he knew they were still alive. So he really was torturing this dude for like making the attempt. And even though he stopped it, it's like, I'm going to punish you anyway because you did it. And there's plenty of other episodes, even bad ones, like Kerblam, where the doctor showed more compassion to a dude who was about to do the exact same thing and was completely unrepentant to it, but at least tried to save him. You know, if the 15 was 13, 13 would say, screw it. Let him run out there, you know, hit the button, Grant. Grant, let's do this and get out of here. That's what would have happened if we were doing that kind of doctor. This is, in other words, this episode here, this is when you start to realize that RTD is going back into his own trick bag, and he's just doing the opposite of everything that he did before. It's just the opposite of it. And it's just like, it doesn't work. And because, and this is where the asterisks were coming in, because it's like, okay, are you going somewhere with this? Is this going somewhere? And then ultimately it didn't. So I'm trying to keep it within, I'm trying to keep it within the context of the episode. But the thing is that it's something that had kept coming up with it's characterization that's not consistent or is not logical, doesn't make sense.
But
and there's also, go ahead.
I just wanted to go ahead and say it's not where the asterisks are coming in. It's where you said that the asterisks have come to an end. I remember that.
Yeah,
it was the best line. I was like, oh God, yes.
Yeah, it was like this is where it comes to an end, because it's like, dude, they only had 2 episodes left. And it's like you and the thing is, were you planting seeds all along where this is going to wrap up, or was this just like, no, this really was just you guys were throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks? And the thing was, and it turns out that that's what the case was. Now, I will say this to Landry's point about the Ronnie. Yes, I enjoyed Anita Gibson's bit here really well. Like when she like does a little shimmy, I was like, all right, go, senior citizen, whatever that is. And then I think if the dynamic had been flipped, where the Ronnie had been more of a subordinate to the Anita, to the Mrs. Flood, the Ronnie thing would have worked, even though I equally hate By Generation, that would have worked. But this, I think, was the nail in the coffin, that it was like, no, they screwed the pooch. This is not going to turn out well. So for that reason, I'm giving this a shit.
Before I give my thoughts, Jimmy wants to start out by saying that A++++ absolutely loved it. Matt Fish says it's an or, mid-tier, and Sean is saying that it's a miss. And Jimmy, here's the thing. And actually, I wish I don't care about the Hellion who tries to do this, because the fact that as soon as you get to, he was doing this so that way they would blame the corporations. The instant that it was found out that a Hellion did it, it was not going to be, all pity was going to be lost. That was a stupid ass decision. It was ridiculous. I'm going to kill 3 trillion people and they'll all blame the corporation because I did this thing. No. And yeah, no. The doctor says that he has everybody alive out there. He hasn't figured out how he's going to save anybody, but he says they're all alive out there.
Yep.
And he knows that Belinda is probably out there and doesn't think that she's dead. But I really think this is it's just poorly written. You have the corporation being named the corporation. This has no substance. This is all just, it is a show. In the worst way.
It felt like a chat.
It what?
Yeah. It felt like it was generated by Chat GPT.
It's
I think we
generated.
said that at the time.
Yeah.
All right. Joe, you've already told us how you're going to feel about it, but tell us what you think about Wish World.
Yeah, no, shit. No, especially with the episode after, of course, but no, it's what were we doing? What was all this? What was it for? It's a real shame. It's also just poorly paced.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to be a better paced, tighter story, and it wasn't. I don't get it. I don't get why you have so little time. Why did it take so long for the Doctor and the Rani to finally meet in this episode? Like, so stupid. I don't know. Just shit. Just that's it.
Landry?
I mean, does it get? Okay, it does get worse than this because the next episode happens.
Yes, it does.
There was a moment here, like there was a redemption potential for the season here. This is it's hard to separate my opinion of this from the episode that follows it. And so I'm going to hold most of my opinions for when we discuss that one. It is jarring, disjointed. The Rani is uninteresting. The best thing I can say about this episode, it's got those weirdo characters whose fingers go into the control panel and they look cool. There's nothing else that redeems this. There's nothing in this that is good, worth mentioning. It's shit.
Gevain?
Yeah, well, the episode before this, as I did my infamous recreation of the Charleston Heston Planet of the Apes Yell speech, because they actually went and brought the Rani back. Here, they had the opportunity to establish the Rani as something new, with a new motive, a new modus operandi, a new relationship with the Doctor, somebody to fit in, and they just didn't bother to do any of that. Then they basically repeat the trick from the episode prior to it, and they bring back somebody else that we were all like, oh, they bring this guy back. They mention Omega, and this episode, much like everyone else has said, it did nothing. This episode needed to be the new Ronnie's coming out party, and it didn't bother to even try to accomplish that. And that's the major failing of this episode. For that, I have to give it a shit. And this was the final confirmation that basically, well, I'll leave that part for the next episode, for we rate it as well. But this is a shit. Yeah.
I sadly have to go ahead and disagree, because Wish World is actually the last hope that I had. Because, the Matt Fish Interstellar Song Contest, after having a whole season go ahead mentioning Susan, nothing until this last episode.
No, we'll leave it up for the next one.
But we're going to talk about that. But Wish World, it doesn't matter because you all said shit, so it's going there anyway. But Wish World, I had this hope. There is a world where we have a good reality war, and Wish World is that decent start. It's a decent setup, because that's what a two-parter is. You go ahead, you have all your setup in the first half, and then you bring it to a close. The close is really, really bad, but Wish World itself, I really liked it. I watched it a few times, and it's exciting until you remember what comes next. Because even with mentioning Omega, because I love Omega. I can't help what happens after. It's unforgivable. But
you also can't help what happened before, because Wish World does nothing to even remotely attempt to tie any of the previous 6 episodes into this one to even give us a hint of what the finale would look like. That's the other problem with it. It does nothing other than Conrad, and that's it.
Well, Conrad, and it uses unit because that's what Conrad remembered of the world.
Yeah.
It does use the Vindicator that the Ronnie has been following the Doctor around to collect towards the end, and yeah, so it ties that part in. Yeah, but no, now the reality war. Go ahead, break it down.
No, it's obviously shit for so many reasons. You know, potentially not of the fault of a lot of the people involved prior to these rewrites and everything. I mean, not having Susan show up at all was just like, even if this was a better episode, or even if it was teetering, that alone kicks you over to bad. It felt so off. And like, if you knew you had to reshoot that, you should have just taken those bits with Susan out. You could have easily edited around them, like no problem.
Yep.
Like,
don't
very
show
bizarre.
her. Even if you have the whispers, that's one thing. But you showed her.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. All that, the not tying the giant skeleton monsters into Omega being a giant skeleton now made those like that should have foreshadowed what was coming, but it was just handled so poorly. I think Chris mentioned the whole bit with the like unit having its stupid transformer base was so stupid.
Let's go Voltron Force.
Freaking pirate wheel in the middle of it. I was like, why the hell do you have a steering wheel right in the middle? But then she turned it and the base turned around. I was like, oh, I guess that's what it's for.
Sure. It's so stupid. Yeah, no, I should let other people talk, because I could go all night about how stupid this is. So.
Do you have anything to bring up, Landry?
Oh, I mean, I have opinions. They're just not kind ones. I mean, there's not much kind to say. It's wow. I don't know who this guy is. He's not the Doctor. I don't care about Poppy. I don't know why I'm supposed to care about Poppy. I mean, I guess Baby. Everyone loves Baby, and the bit of the Doctor wanting to his granddaughter bad. I better go find my granddaughter. But the minute it's like he's really confirmed with that, he just goes, it was real. I have an American baby. I'll bring all for the most important when he turns on the hotel people.
You sound like a harpsichord.
Oh, hello. Am I any better now?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Any of my scathing opinions get through?
We got the gist of it though. Very well said, Landry.
Rage. Yeah, I had rage. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can focus on the good. The good is Mrs. Flood was entertaining. The good was
that's it.
The artist says very lovely. It's a very nice TARDIS. I liked 13 for the first time because this made her look good. It's like if this was all a redemption arc for 13 to show, oh, you didn't like this? Let's show you how bad it can be. You're going to regret not liking it. You know, I don't have much else to say. It's terrible. It's just I think this might be the worst ending of a Doctor I've ever seen. I don't care about it. It's horrible. It's just horrible.
It's even worse than. I mean, if you consider the time of the Ronnie, the end of Colin Baker.
Yeah, I know, but I wouldn't though. I don't think I could.
Because it's not him. It's Sylvester McCoy in the wig.
Yeah, but like I mean, it's worse than Doctor Who the movie for sure.
That's
not hard.
The Doctor left.
Yeah.
Doctor left before I never learned to care about this Doctor. If anything, the more this Doctor was on screen, the less I liked him, which is unusual. Yeah. Usually I start to find things I like, you know, but I was interested in him originally. I thought he started off with some good performances, but they never evolved past that point. And this was like he had one note. And I liked him a lot in that what was that show he was in? Sex?
Sex Education.
The actor was very Sex Education. That's it. He was very good in that. So I had a lot of hopes for him, but he never felt like he grew into the role. He always coded just one note. Like it's always the same. I got no weariness. It was always like it's a party. No weariness, no gravitas, no. When he do anger, it came off as childish. It just his performance lacked weight, and his leaving, he left, and I've never been as uninterested in a regeneration as this. And this regeneration caught me by surprise. I hadn't heard a whisper about this. For the first time in years, one thing I've always wanted is I wanted a regeneration I didn't know about. And I got it, and I didn't care anymore. And when you reach, I have been a fan of Doctor Who since I was very young. I mean, Tom Baker was still the Doctor when I started watching, and I was a member of the fan club. The character shaped much of my ethos. It informed who I grew into being. I love the show, but not this show. I don't know this show. It's not for me anymore. One could argue, well, you outgrew it. Sure, but I can still appreciate it. I can appreciate lots of things about outgrown. I don't appreciate this anymore. I don't recognize it. It has so little of the DNA of what I grew up with in it. I don't know why it's called Doctor Who anymore. It's just another poppy science fiction show without the strength that it once had. So it's in the shit pile for sure.
Yeah.
Gevain, yeah. You want to add anything?
Yes. What hasn't already been said, all right? I think, so I just looked up real quick because I finished binge watching 2 seasons of this show over the weekend. It's a show called Reacher, and I just wanted to double check because the one thing that Reacher has in common with Doctor Who, at least this season of Doctor Who, is that both of those seasons also were 8 episodes. They were a hell of a lot more tighter story-wise. The characters were a lot more relatable. The endings were better in both of those seasons. Everything got paid off. Other words, it can be done. It just wasn't done in this show that we love called Doctor Who. It just wasn't done. I feel this episode made me feel bad. It made me feel bad for Kuti that this is what his legacy of Doctor Who would look like. It made me feel bad for the actress who played Ruby. It made me feel really bad for the character and the actress of Belinda, who basically gets rewritten like New 52 style, like Alan Scott New 52 style, into someone that she would actually never be or identify with. There's so many things wrong with this episode. And the thing is like much like with the Susan thing. It's like you tease and you tease and you tease Susan. It's like it's clear that it's gonna be Poppy. I'm not one who pays much attention to the behind the scenes stuff, and maybe I should. But because a lot of people are saying because of rewrites and shoots, and it's like, okay, I get it, but it wouldn't matter if the rewrites or the shoots hadn't happened anyway. There's nothing from the preceding 7 episodes of this season that would indicate in any way that if those things had never happened, this episode still wouldn't have sucked.
Yeah.
It just I think everyone involved with this, including RTD himself, did themselves a disservice. This is, you can't blame this on. I was willing to blame this on it being this tight with eight episodes, but after watching that Reacher series and seeing just how well the character was communicated, you knew who he was, you cared about him, you cared about the supporting cast. Every episode pushed the story along. This season was just sloppy. It was sloppy. It was poor writing. And the thing is that these were some really good characters. And I think as you go out this season, it's like you can see flashes here and there of like, oh, you know what you're doing. And with Billy Piper showing up as it's like, bro, you just did this like 2 years ago with David showing up as the doctor. We've seen this and done that. But the reason why I really hate this episode is because and I'm forgetting her name. I think her name is Anita because I want to accuse the one who runs the Time Hotel. Such
Anita.
A great payoff. Yeah. Such a great payoff to that special, that Christmas special at the beginning. The only payoff in this whole season worth a damn. And it was like, but it has to be esconded into this shit sandwich that is the finale. It's like it was a beautifully written sequence. 3 shots and you got it. You understood it. I don't remember anything about the Vindicator up until he pulled it out and did whatever he did. I just don't remember it. But I remember enough of that episode of the Christmas special that when she hasn't been seen in 8 episodes, when she shows up and they do that little bit, oh, you get it, and it pays off well. It wraps it up, it resolves it. And I think that is probably the most damning part of this episode, of this season. They know how to do this, they just couldn't be bothered.
Sack Russell T. Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only that, because they, even with that, like they changed the way that the Time Hotel in that damn episode. Like they go ahead and establish the rules of the Time Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them. I do. It's a Stephen Moffat episode. Are you surprised that I like that? But they change how the rules of the Time Hotel doors work. Then she opens up the doors and stands there. She is a doorstop for the rest of the episode. And you have frickin' Poppy is this crucial point. And you know, there are a lot of people that are saying that because they had to go ahead and splice in the regeneration, that scene of where they're passing it along, and then after you have the doctor telling Rubes, you're remembering this wrong. You're not getting it. That they think that it's pretty much him remembering Poppy, but for Belinda's sake, he's pushing on, and they're going to move right along. The thing is, he goes ahead and dies to bring a Poppy back into existence, to change frickin' the character that we had. Belinda was great in the first episode.
Yep.
No matter how we felt about Scrub or Alan, Belinda was great in that episode. Mm-hmm. I think she was good in Lux. She was really good in The Well. And then they just stopped caring.
Yeah.
They stopped caring. And the worst part for me. But okay. I'm not blaming Disney. I'm blaming Russell T Davies. He's running the show, Jimmy. This isn't the mouse. This is RTD not getting his shit together. There is no way that Disney is trying to tank the show. They want it to be successful. They wouldn't invest money in something to fail.
Yeah, listen, I said this back when Jimmy said, I said back then, Disney is not a problem. They're a distributor. They're not the showrunners. They're not the show creators. They have very little influence in that regard. It's not them. If anything, they're probably very unhappy with the show. This isn't Disney. This is Russell T Davies.
It's all on RTD. He's
Yeah.
the one who failed. He's the one who frickin' brought back Omega without even watching 5 minutes of the 3 Doctors. Or 5 minutes of Arc of Infinity. What is wrong with you? Why would you bring back a character that you don't know at all?
Yeah.
God.
It's the first time, Lord, and this is the thanks he gets.
The first time.
Another giant skeleton monster.
It totally falls apart because it doesn't make any damn sense that you're saying that this is the Omega he met years ago, because you have the Doctor say, oh, the Time Lords of Omega were mad. They were crazy. They're you, buddy. They're still you.
It wasn't the dog the god of death in the season before that, the season finale last season. We got 2 gods of death. I just know.
It's so insane that it's worse than Empire of Death. It's so insane that we can have a second ending that's even worse. That's dog shit without the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely went down.
Yeah.
And it didn't have far to it was so low to begin with. I mean,
the most likely thing that happened, that if you want to go ahead and blame Disney for something, how season 1 performed in the reaction to the end of that season probably is the reason why it wasn't renewed straight off the bat, because they were still in production for that second season. So they were finishing that up while the first season was coming out. And that is, I mean, you can say that Shooty wanted something more sure. You can't just wait around, because we don't know the future of Doctor Who right now. Nobody knows the future of Doctor Who right now. Even with everything saying, oh, the BBC is not going to just stop Doctor Who. They've
done it before.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous that we had this season. And I'm so glad that we had this episode as well to go ahead and just vent that frustration towards this garbage of a season. And that's what this is. There's a reason why most of this list is on shit, because it hasn't been done well. Even the good things that we liked that are trickled throughout certain parts of this episode, nothing was tying it together.
And the thing is, in an episode like a Reality War, you have a device that allows you to tie all of it together, especially since you had an extra 10 minutes. When you literally are going to shift reality a degree, you needed to shift it like a few degrees just to correct everything that went wrong 7 episodes before this.
You could have
had the writing device to do that.
Many things. You could have solved Ruby making it snow for some reason. You could have solved... I mean, you did go ahead and address the fact that she has a sensitivity to realities, which I did like. I liked that a little bit because that going through 73 yards, I know I'm the only one who liked it here. But it going ahead and having that sensitivity, that's a cool thing. I like that. But it doesn't matter. I know we played the clip because, oh, it's funny to go ahead and do that. But no, I'm serious. He's got to go. There is no, I don't know how he can just stare at what he's done and be okay.
He literally had nothing new to say. I mean, we all realize that, right? He literally had nothing new to say. This was, you know what this is like? This is what people accuse George Lucas of doing. This is Doctor Who, like, special edition. This is like going back and changing the scene where Han Solo shoots the other bounty hunter. And it's like, nobody cares. Why'd you even do that? It takes away everything that we liked about Han Solo. And it's just, why? Nobody asked for this. And it's the same thing with this. It's just like, it's literally him doing greatest hits of his own, homaging himself and not even doing himself justice. That's how bad this was.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, that is our episode. I think we've hit the horse. It's dead.
Well, we didn't tell. Oh, let's see. It's a real nail biter here. Is it hit or shit? Oh, it's so close. Yeah. Wow.
That's what it is.
One episode, and that's only because I relented on the Lux, right? I mean, or was it unanimous?
No, because Lux,
It was like 3-1.
You gave it shit. It was Joe and
But did I give it shit? I thought I
hit,
gave that one a
and then
positive.
I said hit.
I thought I gave the first two positive, and then I went negative.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now, I have a question before we wrap up, though, because I know we talked about this a little bit before. Overall, since we're talking about looking over the season, maybe over 2 seasons, what have the ratings looked like over this season and over the 2 seasons in general? Like, what's the aggregate rating for just this whole experience?
I don't know. I haven't looked, but it's probably abysmal. It's probably what was it? There was something that the BBC went ahead and said that no, we're not canceling Doctor Who. It will continue in one shape or another. But Disney's probably not going to renew. If they do, I'm going to be legitimately just baffled, super surprised.
Yeah, I just don't know how we got from the Tennant specials, the Tennant and Tate specials to this. I just they're just two different animals.
It really is. The thing is, like, after those specials, we were on such a high too. Even with the bi-generation, like we were, but at least the new actors seems very promising. I like the Church of the Road. I thought that was a great start for him. But then you go ahead and follow with Space Babies. And then you go ahead and you have the fact that you're trying to be, this is supposed to be a new jumping on point. You told people that. You said this is a new era. And all you did was continue back in what you were doing in 2014.
And the thing was, and it just never paid off. Because I remember being excited, like, when 10 showed up as 14. Then when you have like the trailer of showing Cutie when he's like on the back, there's like the clear he's on a green screen. They don't want you to see where he's going. And he's like, what the hell is going on here? And it had such promise of like, oh yeah, where is this going to go? How do we have 14? How are we going to get to this guy? And it's just like, it just never materialized. You're going to tease Susan for over a year, and she literally does not. Is she even mentioned in the finale of the second season? I can't even remember if she was mentioned.
No,
I just don't.
No.
So you're bringing back the Ronnie, Omega, and Susan, and with all of that, you managed to screw up all 3 of them. You're like literally 0 for 3.
And after going ahead and writing that stupid line in Empire of Death, or not Empire of Death, Legend of Ruby Sunday, saying, oh no, after you've already had an episode saying, I'm a dad, going ahead and saying, no, not yet, Time Lords, it's weird. But then in this finale, to go ahead and say, oh no, we can't have any kids because of what the Master did in Series 12. Go fuck yourself. God.
Yep.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. We are on the edge. I dread the words reboot, and that feels like the only course of action.
You've come around to my way of thinking.
I'm unfortunately
Here's what you do for a reboot, though. Hear me out. You do a remake of the very first episode. You recast Ian and Barbara. It's set in 1963. You do more or less the episode, but instead of Susan, it's another companion who then brings them to the doctor in a similar way, but it's just the new doctor, and then they go on an adventure, and they don't explain the doctor, they don't explain what regeneration he is or any of that, and you just have the companion, and you just run with it. And we see
Just act like
and then
nothing happened.
just act like it, but like, what regeneration is this? What's going on? What do Time Lords do? What's Gallifrey? Fuck it. Just
no, you don't. You reveal it as slow. I mean, the Eccleston. Yeah. Eccleston is a soft reboot, and in that they redid what they did with Barbara and Ian. Rose was she was the centerpiece character. She was us in the show, and we didn't know anything about. I mean, some of us did, but the general audience didn't know who this guy was. They didn't know he could regenerate. They didn't know he was a Time Lord. They found out as Rose found out, and this is something we've talked about before. Yes, go back to that, but do it as a full reboot. Now, for me, obviously, I've been yelling for the reboot from the Reboot Hills for several years now. But we are all entitled to draw our own lines of what we define a show as. And when I was a kid, when I saw the Fourth Doctor regenerate in the Fifth, I sat down, I did the math from 1963 to whatever 1980, what that was, how long it had taken the Doctor to, and I knew the Doctor had 13 lives. I want to know, how old will I be when the Doctor reaches his last life? I wanted to see that. And I still feel very cheated by the way Moffat gave us that, because I've been waiting for it for literally decades. The Doctor, who was just as human as any of us, a bullet would kill him. He's done.
Well,
we didn't get that.
I do just want to say the pieces that led to that, because that wasn't obviously the original idea. The 50th anniversary.
I know Eccleston bowed out. They wanted to put in the War Doctor. But they didn't have to do the double Tennant thing. They didn't have to count him twice. And for me, Capaldi is the 13th Doctor. He's the last. Like, by their count, he's the 13th Doctor. Ignore the double Tennant. There are 13 of them. I got my 13 Doctors I wanted. The show ended for me there. What's that?
All 13.
All 13.
Yeah,
and for
God, that was such a great line. Ooh.
That's the end. That's where Doctor Who ended for me, because I have not really enjoyed much of anything since then. There's been some good television in there. There have been some good performances. Again, the first episode of this season with the robots, there's a lot I liked about that, but it's not Doctor Who for me. And it's not about the gender. It's not about race. I am very interested in the idea of exploring some of these things, but they have to do it well. It still has to be good.
But they must that. Yeah, they weren't brave enough to actually do science fiction with gender and race with this unique of a character. There was so much they could have done. It could have bumped up against political stuff, they really could have pushed the envelope in a way in which they moved what this character means. Even playing with the idea of identity. That's what's so sad about how they handled the story in the engine and the Rosa episode. But that's with Crudy being his first Black Doctor. There was just too many opportunities to do something like that. It just was. It's like, if you really were going to go for it, then just go for it. Just go for it. But just like frittering around the edges of it, it's like, bro, if you're going to make him a woman, then it's like, make him a woman, and just like a guy who's been a man for like over 1,000 years, who's now a woman. Really? And I'm not talking about, showing him like, how to do a tampon kind of a thing. Let's not go there. But there's real ways you could have explored this character. And it's just with these last 2 seasons, it was just like, it just felt like dude wasn't paying attention. It just felt like he really wasn't paying attention. And that Lucky Day episode, that's the one I now like thinking about this as much as some of the other ones. That was so egregious because literally, it's like you're literally forcing everybody else to be stupid in the episode, to do dumb things, just to drag the story over the finish line. The man has nothing to say. He did those 3. He should have done the 3 specials, and then they should have just gotten somebody else completely different to showrun these last 2 seasons. But the thing is, I can go with the reboot, but the only reason I'm afraid of the reboot is because I don't know if they've identified anybody who actually has something new and interesting to say about Doctor Who and actually knows how to say it. I'd rather go on hiatus.
I think hiatus is probably our best course of action because you know what? We still have good things for Big Finish. We still have some good novels coming out, and that's probably the best course of action would have gone if this episode, just the shit icing on top of the crap cake is the fact that he regenerates and it's Billy Piper. Because if they had gone ahead and just whited out the regeneration and that's the end of the episode, to be continued, and that we fade away, we don't know. That would have been better. That would have been better.
They could have done a whiteout scene, but they would have had to say Doctor Who will be back or something. Because if they had just whited it out and then it faded to black, I would have rioted. I would have literally just went down the street with a pitchfork, just throwing Molotov cocktails.
That was the plan with Power of the Doctor. They were going to go ahead and do a regeneration and blackout because nobody wanted to run the show. Nobody wants to run Doctor Who. And I was so like, even through all the crap last season, even through most of the crap this season, I was like, this is still better than not having Doctor Who. Until we got to this last episode. Having Doctor Who it's not better. It's not better.
No.
All I'm saying is
this isn't Doctor Who. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I don't know who this character is. There's very little Doctor Who left in this. So it's like I'm looking going, well, what do we want to podcast about now, guys?
No,
all I'm saying is this.
We still have stuff that we can talk about. There's still good things.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course. But the hyperbolic answer of it is like, this is not Doctor Who anymore. It's something else. It's something unrecognizable.
Well, I would take the advice of John Lennon, as he said when the Beatles broke up. Just go back and listen to the old records. That's what you're really talking about at this point. But I will say this: the other crowning achievement of these last 2 seasons is Rosa looks a hell of real good right now. Clara is shining as a companion.
You're not going to fix the fact that Rosa sucks. I'm sorry, Gevain.
Hell, that Trump character, that Trump wannabe character looks magnificent compared to
I watched for that writing competition. I watched some of the worst episodes of 13 because that's where I can get into the nitty gritty to go ahead and write a story. And then the reality war came out and took all the air out of my wings. Yeah. I am never going to finish that draft. Never.
Mickey and Jack can come back.
It's due tomorrow, isn't it?
I know it's
you can do it.
I wrote down pretty much most of the first part, which is just the synopsis, but I didn't get to write actually the script, and I'm not going to. I just no. I don't have that in me, and I don't have that dog in me anymore. I did until reality
kicked in.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. As someone who did submit for that, I'm glad you're not.
Oh, do you really think I could do better than you, buddy?
No, I'm just. Is both of those.
No, this was worse than The Timeless Child. I watched that episode again. It's still bad. It's still garbage, but it's better than the reality war. Anything is better than the reality war. Well, that's enough of anger. We hope you enjoyed the show. We've had some fun. We'll be back next week with a topic of some sort. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy.
We'll have made it to the 5th stage of grief by that point.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
That'd be good.
And now I'm going to just set this as my end. We want to thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Maybe you liked it. And if you did, tell us why below. Big Finish is the only way we're going to be enjoying Doctor Who if RTD is sticking around any length of time.
Amazing.
Okay. That's it. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sack Russell T Davies.